Okay, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm recording this on YouTube, and I'm also recording it as part of my results podcast. So either way, if you're watching it or listening to it, welcome. It's great to have you here, which leads me to an idea actually, which is that, I'm recording this on YouTube, and that's great. And I'm also benefiting from having it on my podcast at the same time. I'm here, just a little over there is my podcast being recorded on my mobile phone. Now, that podcast gets round about 7,000 views per episode. I'll talk to you about that in a little while and why that happens, but it's brilliant. And, what I'm doing basically is doubling my time or halving my time, if you will. So it's like buy one, get one free, do one and get one free. And a great tip to kick off the results podcast and this video with. So welcome. Thank you for being here. If it's the first time you've ever listened to me, an even bigger welcome. If you've come back many times, then sincerely a big thank you. My name is Steve Mills. I've been running this podcast now. I just looked, and this is my 254th podcast. And if you looked at my videos on YouTube, I think it's numbering something like about 450 videos. So I've been doing this quite some time, and hopefully by now I've got it right, but you never know, there might be the odd little nightmare, but we'll see. But anyway, welcome. Thank you. Today, I'm going to be talking about podcasts. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Doing a podcast about doing podcasts. I thought it was funny. Doing a video about doing podcasts, maybe not quite so funny, but still quite a relevant point. And if you think about what that relevant point is, it's around like years ago, if I wanted to do video, it was called something called TV. Get on TV. Advertise on TV, or get the opportunity to get some good PR by getting yourself on a TV program, like a news program or something like that. That's the way you got yourself on screen, as it were. As far as talking, it was about radio. You had to go and advertise on a radio, pay the radio station, $4,000 for something that probably wouldn't work, but they made a living out of it. And or you got yourself on the radio show to talk about something, an event, your expertise, what's happening in the economy, or whatever it was. You get yourself on the radio. Now, I can do that whenever I want. The TV is now video and YouTube, and the radio is now podcasts and podcasting. So it's a great opportunity for you. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about me and just give you an overview so you understand why it's worth listening to me. I hope you think it is so far. And that is, I've been doing this now for 27 blooming years. When I say that, it's just like such a long time. And you can imagine how the world of marketing has changed in that time. And I'm sure you can imagine how technology has changed. And, one of the keys for me, I think, that's made me, successful is my incestuous desire, if that's the right word, to learn new stuff. I'm just a prolific learner. If you could see over the rest of my office, you'd see it's full of books, audio programs, CDs, even cassettes. I've still got cassettes. Yes, I'm old enough to remember those. I haven't got any 8-tracks. Some of the youngsters watching are thinking, what on earth is an 8-track? But anyway, but also online now, I can go and access the world's leading marketing experts, sales experts, business growth experts, learn from them and keep myself very much up to date. And I've done that in a way that over the years, I've probably spent, I estimate, over 150 hours. Can you believe that? You break that down into 27 years and break that down into months and break that down into weeks. It works out at about 15 hours a week. 15 hours, that's 2 full days training per week. And you think, how's he done that? Well, I do it in all sorts of ways. I listen to podcasts. I go into work, half an hour there, half an hour back every day. That's an hour a day to start with. That's 7 hours a week, probably actually 5 hours a week. So I'm a third of the way there, just driving to work and back. That's what I've done. So I've spent a lot of time learning this stuff. A very good friend of mine, Jim Ewan, once said to me, have you ever actually come up with a marketing idea yourself, Steve? And I said, no, none of it's my ideas. It's all stuff that I've learned from the leading experts in the world. Now, that's not quite true, because it's all stuff that, as I've got more experience, that I've tried, tested, and proven to work. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, and that is podcasting. It is such a great opportunity, and I just think it's like it's the curve, where it goes along, and then all of a sudden it starts to massively climb. That happens in lots of things with products. Apple brings something out, they bring an iPhone out, and a few people are early adopters, and then all of a sudden people are talking about it and it's going great, and it goes like that. Sales go massive. With them, actually, it's not quite true. They sell millions on the first day. They're so successful. But anyway, that's another story. So, if that's the case, then, now is a good time to start your podcast. Why? Because most of your competitors are not doing it. Most people, there's thousands or millions of podcasts around right now. I know that. But in your niche, if I ran the Newbury Dog Trainers Club, and I did a podcast for people who own dogs in and around the Newbury area, then that's a niche podcast. I'm not going to get people who are interested in other things listening to my podcast. I'm going to be niched. I'm going to get probably maybe 100 people, maybe a few hundred people sign up to my podcast because they're interested in what I'm talking about, and that's really where you need to be. That's what you want to do, and I'm going to talk to you about how to do that, but for now, just think about why to do it. Let me give you an example. I'm not like world famous or anything. I've been doing this a long time, so I built up a good social media following, nearly 100,000 people. I've got about 8,000 people sign up to my email system, and on YouTube I've got, I think it's just below 1,000 subscribers, but I get reasonable amount of traction on there. Now, all that said, if I look at my podcast, I've been on my podcast now, I think must be the best part of 2 years. So I've not done as many as I really should have done, 254 shows. And in that time, I've built up my number of people that I'm connected to a level where when I do this, like right now, listening, there'll be about 7,000 people. 7,000 people are listening to me right now on my podcast, not on video on YouTube, but on my podcast. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So that being the case, the question is, how do you do that? And that's what I'm going to tell you today. Now, before I forget, I just want to make you a quick offer. And the offer is this. I run something, as you can see from my background, called Results Mastery. It's a program that I've developed over the 27 years, and it's got to a level now where I think it's brilliant, I've got to say. I don't mean that I'm brilliant. I just think the program's fantastic. And what it is a 12-month program for business owners to help them master this area called sales and marketing. In other words, to make more money. If you think about it, there are only two ways your business can make more money. One is to reduce costs, and the other is to increase sales. Now, you can make more money by reducing costs. That's good, and you should do that. But there's only so much in there, 5%, 10%, maybe even 20%, but that's it. The only way to really leverage, to really become successful, is to become better at selling and marketing. And that's what I'd like to help you do. So if you're interested in just finding out more, do one or two things. Either go to my website, which is, it's behind me there. You can see it on the wall, steve-mills.com. Give me a call on my mobile. Again, it's there. People on my podcast can't, can they? No, I was being a bit stupid there. Okay, so I'm going to give you my mobile on my podcast. It's 07977 074 497, or email me at steve@steve-mills.com. Or if you want to, you can just go to my website, click on one of the gold buttons, and you can book a one-to-one meeting. You get to see my diary, and you can find a time that's good for you, and just book what's known as a results awareness meeting. Just go and do that. There's no hard sell. I'll just find out about your business, talk to you about what's going well and what's not, and so on, and see if there's a fit with what you need and what I've got, and if there is, great. Okay, so let's talk about podcasts then. Okay, so I'm not saying I am perfect at this. I really don't want to come across as like Steve's the podcasting guru. I'm not. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a highly experienced, highly trained, and really effective marketing advisor, coach, trainer, speaker, call me what you will. What I am in terms of my podcast is pretty successful. Okay, that's really what I've done. And when I say that, I've already mentioned that I get about 7,000 views per episode. Now, when I do it, I use this fantastic platform called Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, Spreaker.com. I set my podcast up, do a little bit of branding, upload a picture and give it a name and so on and so forth. And then importantly, through Spreaker, I can link my podcast to loads and loads of different places. So for example, I can link it to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Twitter, to Instagram, and so on and so forth. So I can cover all my social media world. I can then link it to YouTube. So as well as this video, what you'll probably notice at the side of this video is my podcast. So if you want to, if you see this on YouTube, you can either listen with me, looking at me, or if you're out and about and, you just want to listen to it, you can listen to my podcast on YouTube. Now, here's another point. Spreaker link it to over, I think it's 35 different radio stations onto their websites. It's not published live on the radio, I don't think, but they do that, which is good. But here's the big one. Actually, the big two. The two things that took my podcasts from like a few hundred views or listens into the thousands was this. It was when I linked it to iTunes and Amazon Music. You can go on to your Amazon Echo thing, or your Google whatever, your thing that you have in your house that you speak to, and I can go in and say, Amazon, play the Steve Mills Results podcast, and it will come up. I'm always pestering my wife with it. It's really quite funny. But you can do that, and that is great, and that's where a lot of that traffic comes from. No surprise there, I know. iTunes, iTunes podcasts, how big is that? It's enormous. Millions of people listening, going and finding stuff, searching for stuff on there, and the same with Amazon. So, it really is a great opportunity, podcasting, and you really ought to do it. Now, all that said, the other things I do, this is live right now. I'm live on YouTube and live on my podcast, and I got loads of people. But what I'm also doing, I'm creating what I call marketing collateral. This video that you're watching now, am I going to take it down tomorrow, get rid of it, think, well, people have watched that, they won't want to watch it again? Am I? Heck, I'm going to be marketing this video for years to come. I'm going to be posting it out on LinkedIn. I'm going to be sharing it on Facebook and so on. I might email it out. I'm certainly going to take it and add it to my blog post on my website, so it'll stay there pretty much for as long as I'm in business, which hopefully, everything being willing, will be a long time. So, this is a great way of creating marketing collateral. And for some people, they love watching a video. Other people love listening to an audio. But what about the written word? Well, I can go onto a website like, say, for example, Fiverr, which is 5 with a double R on the end, fiverr.com, and I can get somebody to transcribe this into words and turn it into a podcast. Turn it into, not a podcast, what are you on about? I told you I get things wrong, didn't I? Turn it into a blog post, or I can break that up and turn it into social media posts, into, little ones, not a great big social media post, but, I can break it up into small bits, as it were. So, I cannot see why you wouldn't do it. It takes a little bit of time. I'm doing this. I've done this quite a few times now. I've not got a script in front of me. I've not really prepared anything. I know what I'm talking about because, I know what I'm talking about. And I'm just doing it really for a couple of reasons. One is to help people. That's my number one reason. That's why I started in business. My aim was to help as many people as I could avoid that trap of 80% of them going bust within 5 years. That's a terrible statistic. And I'm here doing my bit to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Second reason, I want to position myself as I hate the word expert because it basically signifies that you know everything. But I did hear somebody once tell me that, the definition of an expert. And I said, no, what's that? They said, well, X means you're a has-been, and a spurt is a drip under pressure. So I'm hopefully not an expert, but what I am is somebody that's got a reasonably high level, doesn't know everything, but constantly looking at improving my level and learning new stuff. So if you're like me, then you might want to start thinking about doing a podcast, get in there, go and do it. You might want to, do it just a podcast and not the video to start with, then get good at videos and so on and get doing those, and just, maximize the fantastic opportunity that is audio and video. That would be my honest advice to you. So I think that's about it. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, one thing. Don't then just leave it. I know I've said, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to post it on LinkedIn and so on. Keep going with it. Don't come from, oh, well, I posted it 2 weeks ago. I posted the video on LinkedIn 2 weeks ago, so I don't want to bombard people by posting it again. Will they all get upset? The truth of that is, no, they won't, because the chances are they either won't remember seeing your video. The chances are even greater that they won't have even watched your video. They'll have gone right on by. It'll have sailed on by. If I've got 9,000 LinkedIn followers, if I post this video on LinkedIn, which I will do, and I'll post the podcast as well, how many of those 9,000 will watch it? The chances are it's less than 50, maybe 100, maybe a couple of hundred. But most of the people, most of the time, won't watch your stuff, just like they won't read your social media posts. Like years ago, they didn't read the letters that you sent through the door. You know, when I started out in business, I used to send out 1,000 letters to get people to come along to a seminar, and I'd get probably, I don't know, 50 to 100 of them read it, and 10 to 20 of them sign up. Each one of those would give me £150 to come along to a seminar. So if I got 10 people, that was worth £1,500, which is a pretty good day. I run the day, and then I do the same thing again and run it again and again and again. And that was how I started off. 27 years ago, that was probably 80 to 90% of my business, running that multiple times, 2 or 3 times a month, and then doing in-house training as well for people. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just to remind you, if you do want to find out more about how to improve your sales and marketing results, and you want to do it, then you could do one of 2 things. Go to my website, sign up to Results Mastery, or go to my website and book a meeting with me. We can have a talk about it. I'm not going to give you a hard sell. Just answer any questions and explain a little bit more about the program, and let's just see if it's a fit for you and your business. Thank you ever so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you in due course. Thank you. Oh, don't forget, steve-mills.com. Thanks very much. Bye.